I think I have the best digital marketing newsletter. There are some good digital marketing newsletters out there. I actually think mine is the best because I give the most specific, concrete directions and examples. edwardsturm.com/newsletter. That is my digital marketing newsletter. I'm actually going to be sharing one of my newsletters. It's about the 20% of SEO actions that get 80% of the results. I call this Pareto SEO. If you know the Pareto principle, it's the 20% of things that get the 80% of the desired outcome, because you want to put in as little work as possible and get as much results as possible. And every different niche has these Pareto activities, and search engine optimization is no different. One of my highest performing newsletters in my digital marketing newsletter, edwardsturm.com/newsletter, was this newsletter on Pareto SEO. So that's what I'm going to be reading on this episode of the pod. And I just also want to be completely transparent. I talked about yesterday on yesterday's podcast about how, and actually in my newsletter, in this digital marketing newsletter, I also talked about it on Sunday, about how Google is pushing YouTube videos very hard in the Google results. And YouTube is the second biggest search engine in the world. And if you put a keyword that you care about in the title for the YouTube video, at the beginning of the title, and in the description for the YouTube video at the beginning of the description, if you do that, then you have a good chance of very quickly ranking well on Google, very well. In some cases, number one for the keyword that you are targeting, just with YouTube. And so that is why I am making this video and phrasing it to talk about my digital marketing newsletter, because I am going to put digital marketing newsletter in the title of this video and in the description, and I'm going to see what happens. I'm curious. It's also a keyword that I care about. I'll give some shout outs. If you are listening, you might already be a subscriber to my digital marketing newsletter. If you're not and you need that link, I'm not sure if I shared it before. Did I share it before? It's edwardsturm.com/newsletter. I want to also give a shout out to Shaan Puri's newsletter. His newsletter isn't specifically digital marketing, but some of the newsletter issues are. And I've gotten a lot of value from his newsletter in the past. So you can get his newsletter at ShaanPuri.com. ShaanPuri. Shaan Puri is one of the hosts of the My First Million podcast. He has a great business and marketing newsletter. And then the last newsletter that I'll also recommend, because I'm recommending digital marketing newsletters and sharing one of my digital marketing newsletters on this podcast. The last one is the First 1000 newsletter. The early issues of the First 1000 newsletter is about how the top startups got their first 1000 customers. And now the newsletter has pivoted to conversion rate optimization, and it shares very fascinating conversion rate optimization studies. Whenever I take one of those studies and I make a TikTok video about it or an Instagram reel about it, those videos sharing the studies from the First 1000 newsletter will typically do very well. So, okay, Pareto SEO. If you're interested in search engine optimization and you're using a website, here are the 20% of things that give 80% of the results. If you're not using a website, you can still do what I'm doing and put your keyword at the beginning of a video title and at the beginning of a video description. But here it is for websites. Pareto SEO. This is from my newsletter. When I started doing SEO, there was so much information I was learning that I was overwhelmed. I didn't know what was important and what wasn't. At one point, I spent weeks worrying about schema markup. This turned out not to matter. At another point, I tried learning the nuances of the rel canonical attribute. This especially doesn't matter as much now with top-of-funnel content so often being stolen and put on Reddit. Now, years later, I've learned that SEO, like everything in life, abides by the Pareto principle. You get 80% of results from 20% of effort. So here's a good deal of this 20%. Technical SEO. Google Search Console is Google's proprietary tool for accessing its search index. Literally made by Google for accessing Google's own index. And it's pretty easy to use. Connect it to your site. Then find your sitemaps. Different content management systems and plugins have different ways of generating a sitemap in case you don't already have one. Your sitemap will look something like mine is edwardsturm.com/sitemap_index.xml. That's my sitemap. I actually know it by heart just because I've looked at my sitemap so many times, just doing technical SEO for my own personal website. Submit your sitemaps and you will probably have multiple sitemaps, submit them to Google Search Console. Also, whenever you add a new page to your site or you edit an existing page, submit the URL of that page or that post to Google Search Console as well. Do this in the top bar of Google Search Console that says inspect any URL. And that takes care of the most pressing aspects of technical SEO. Again, this is the Pareto of SEO. This is so you get the 80% of search engine optimization results with the 20% of effort. There's lots of stuff that I could talk about that I'm not talking about just because it's not going to get you that 80%. But there is serious technical SEO. So I have a section here. When does serious technical SEO matter? It matters if you are not using a user-friendly content management system or builder like Webflow, Elementor, or other WordPress site builders, SEO plugins like Yoast, Wix, Squarespace, Weebly, and more. So if you're not using one of these tools that's super user-friendly, because oftentimes they have engineers who work on their native SEO so that you, if you are a non-programmer, you don't have to worry about it. And if you are not using one of these things, then serious technical SEO does matter. It also matters if you're doing programmatic search engine optimization. It matters if you're developing your own web app. It also matters if you're doing a migration. But if you're not doing any of these things, you don't really have to worry about serious technical SEO. Now that that's out of the way, what should you worry about? What content to target? This is a simple trick for finding out what content to target. Go back to Google Search Console, go to Performance, then Search Results, then Export. And you can export to your choice. A CSV, Google Sheets, Microsoft Excel, and then see what keywords you're already ranking for. Look for ones where you're not in top positions, but you are in positions 6 through 25. These are low-hanging fruit keywords. So look for keywords where you are in positions 6 through 25. You're already ranking for these keywords. Your website is already ranking for these keywords. And there are two ways to target these low-hanging fruit keywords. How to target keywords with an existing page. For keywords that are ranking on page 1 or at the top of page 2 of Google, use Google Search Console to see which page is ranking for the low-hanging fruit keyword. Google Search Console tells you what keywords you're ranking for and the page that is ranking for those keywords. So go to Performance, then Search Results, and then toggle on Average Position. Then go to Queries, click on your keyword. Queries is just a synonym for keyword. Click on the keyword, then click Pages, and then you can see which page ranks for it. So now you see which page is ranking for which keyword, for which low-hanging fruit keyword. You can add more text to the section of the page where that keyword is mentioned. So that will help you to rank really high for this keyword. If the exact keyword that you are ranking for is not directly mentioned, then use it and add a few extra sentences about it. For keywords where you're ranking between positions 11 through 25, create individual pages targeting these keywords, and then link to these pages from the page that is ranking for them. Because if you link to a page from an existing page, you are helping to spread the link juice throughout your site and to give importance to new pages. For keywords that are more competitive, you will also need a dedicated page targeting these. And by competitive, I mean there's many authoritative websites that are ranking for this keyword. You can use the Moz bar for free to see, this is a Chrome extension, to see the SEO domain authority of websites. Domain authority, it's a metric for Moz. Ahrefs has their own called domain rating. There's several different ones. They're all similar. And it's on a scale of 0 to 100. The higher the number, the higher the authority. So here's how to target keywords with a dedicated page. And I want to warn you, this is really simple. The following is 70% of on-page SEO. And this is me reading from my digital marketing newsletter. The following is 70% of on-page search engine optimization. I learned this personally, but I also recently heard it from a guy who did over 400 on-page search engine optimization experiments. After 400 of these rigorous experiments, he learned this too. Put your keyword in the page title, the meta description, the URL, the H1, the beginning of your first sentence. That's it. I'm going to say that again. Put your keyword in the page title, the meta description, the URL, the H1, and the beginning of the first sentence. This guy who did over 400 on-page SEO experiments found this out, and I found this out myself doing SEO for over a decade. We're almost done now. Bottom of funnel keywords. Targeting top of funnel keywords is generally a waste. If you avoid that, you'll avoid years of unnecessary work. Instead, you should target keywords at the bottom of the funnel. These are easier, higher converting, and require less work. They also rank faster. Don't go after what is collaboration software. Instead, go after collaboration software with intuitive learning. Again, I'm going to repeat that because this at the beginning is a top of funnel keyword, and then the next one is a bottom of funnel keyword. So don't go after what is collaboration software. That is a top of funnel keyword. Instead, go after collaboration software with intuitive learning. That is a bottom of funnel keyword. Someone who is searching that is at the bottom of the funnel. They know what they want. They're just looking for the brand that will give it to them. Digital marketing newsletter. That is actually a bottom of funnel keyword. People who are searching that, they know what they want. They're looking for a great digital marketing newsletter. And they're just looking for that newsletter that's going to satisfy their search intent. So that's a bottom of funnel keyword. So how do you find these bottom of funnel keywords? An easy way to start is to use any SEO tool to see what keywords competitors are ranking for. Look for keywords that are a solution to a problem. Collaboration software with intuitive learning is a solution to many problems. What is collaboration software is a question, not a solution. I'm actually also coming out with a product on how to do this. It's called Compact Keywords. It's going to be really good. I promise it's going to be amazing. The one thing with this product that I'm making is that I am spending so much time on it. And so actually, I just got an email. I'm going to give a shout out to Philip Rivers, who sent me this email today saying, when the F does compact keyword drop? And he wrote this long email. Philip, I appreciate it so much, really. You said you're a listener of the podcast, so you'll probably hear this. And you said, when does this thing drop? I want to learn so I can utilize this strategy for my new marketer recruiting business. It's going to drop soon. I hope within the next month or two, because I've literally been making my compact keywords program since April. But it's crazy because I also make a video every day for TikTok and Instagram Reels, my digital marketing newsletter, which comes out every Sunday, and this podcast, which is 7 days a week. My daily digital marketing podcast, which is 7 days a week. Philip, thank you for the email. Back to Pareto SEO, go after bottom of funnel keywords. Backlinks. You know, a lot of people interested in search engine optimization, they're very interested in backlinks. So here's what I said about getting backlinks in a Pareto way. You don't need a lot of SEO domain authority to go after bottom of funnel keywords, which are better. So here are 3 easy ways to get enough backlinks to start. If you have a new site, you can use boostbenchmark.com, which will get your SEO domain authority from 0 to 20. Boostbenchmark.com. It is a list of the top directories to submit a new website to. If you have an existing website that's not new, featured.com has a high acceptance rate for journalist pitches. Featured.com is journalists looking for expert sources to answer questions. If you are accepted, you get links in the journalists' articles. So it's journalists who are looking for experts to quote in their articles, and when they accept your submission, they link to your site. And I have a 75% success rate on featured.com. That's crazy. 75% of the time, when I respond to a journalist query, my submission gets accepted. And then finally, generally look for directories in your niche. Submit your site to these directories. Use rich descriptions. These descriptions help tell Google what your niche is. I'm ranking number 1 for growth hacking newsletter. I'm also now trying to rank for digital marketing newsletter, but my website, edwardsturm.com/newsletter, ranks number 1 for growth hacking newsletter. Part of the way that I did that, aside from putting the keyword in the places that I mentioned before, is I submitted my newsletter to a bunch of newsletter directories, calling it a growth hacking newsletter. Finally, wrapping up, there are tons of SEO tricks, which I mention all the time, but the reality of SEO is that, like most things in life, 80% of the results come from 20% of the effort. The greatest shortcut is knowing what not to do and the small, simple areas to focus on instead. This is from my digital marketing newsletter, edwardsturm.com/newsletter. And this is episode 419 of my daily digital marketing podcast, The Edward Show. Thank you so much for watching. If you're listening, thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Philip, for the amazing email. And I will talk to all of you again tomorrow. Bye now.